Hello and welcome to this session where we want to learn about peer pressure. This word is very, very common to everyone, and peer pressure is something that does not only affect the teenagers or young adults, it's for everybody. Whatever age you are into, you can get into peer pressure. Where you start, you have interpersonal relationships with everything. Some with people in church, romantic relationships, friends and family, you and how you behave with your food, you and the fitness, and all these are relationships. They are called interpersonal relationships. They are all bound to be impacted by peer pressure. And therefore, let's quickly jump into it and ask ourselves, what is peer pressure? Peer pressure is a form of influence exerted by members of a peer group. This could be all people about to retire and asking what to do, what to buy, what investment to go into. This could be engineers asking themselves what trade to get into. This is any form of peer group, be it in high school, be it in college, be it in life, even at family circles. These are all peer groups. They encouraging individuals to change their attitudes, values, or behaviors in order to conform to a group norm. These groups are formed informally or formally. Could be based on age, could be based on interest, could be based on professionalism and everything, or even social circles, basically. So it's important to know that peer pressure exists in any group formation. Wherever you have a group, there is pressure. You want to know what is this pressure and how do you work with that pressure. The types of pressure, peer pressures, we have positive, negative, direct, indirect, self-imposed, cyber, and relationships. All these are types of pressure that exist. And therefore, at a very high level, I want to quickly wrap it up very fast. Positive peer pressure basically is one that encourages you to make a choice and engage in behavior that impacts your life positively. These are people who exert. This is something that is friends and peers may motivate you. You are motivated to participate in things that you think the outcome going to improve your life. And this is very good. Positive peer pressure is so much encouraged because as we grow, we need some level of pressure to perform. So positive could be thing, studying together, volunteering, joining a club, doing that, becoming serious with God, joining a Bible study. All these are positive peer pressure. You see, people have done it, you want to do it also. That is very, very good. And that is so much encouraged. Next, we have the negative peer pressure. Is an influence that makes you to engage in behavior that are harmful, risky. This is now where YOLO comes in. You only live once and you do extreme stuff that are very, very bad. Some are hurting, some are life threatening, but you are engaging into them because you want just to feel the thrills of the hour, especially when you are between the age of 18 to 22. Oh. The negative peer pressure is so high. And that can really mess you up. Drugs, engaging in risky behaviors, and all those that are things that are morally wrong, they come in as negative peer pressure. It is that need to conform to a group. You have joined the wrong group. So the first point, your choices are wrong. You've chosen to be on the wrong side of the thing. And therefore you find yourself from there, you are doing things the wrong way, the wrong way, the wrong way. The other thing is the direct peer pressure. This is involves demands or influence from friends and peers to conform to a particular behavior. It's a forceful way, basically. You find yourself in a group in church or in school, and there's a forceful way of you to conform. Like these illegal groups that happens out here in life. You find when you join a given sect, you are almost forcefully done to do it. You are shown that you are evil or you are wrong or you are doing not the right thing if you don't join this group. So you feel the odd one out. You are forced to have guilt if you don't do it. That's called direct peer pressure. It happens a lot in life, and therefore one needs to be careful. Indirect is where you observing people and how they are doing their life, and you feel interested. It's more a subtle way that comes by observing. You are seeing and getting, oh no, this fashion I think is good. Some of us as girls, when you wear the tumble cards of the day or even wear some funny fashions out there, it's not because people told to wear. It was an indirect peer pressure. You joined up a college, an institution, a group, and found how they are doing their lifestyle. This looks pleasing. Even drugs. Most drugs they are introduced to us with an indirect peer pressure. You observe people taking shisha and it looks so nice to take it. They show you how it's high, it's good to go high. They don't tell you to smoke weed, but they are showing you how weed is so sweet. Indirect peer pressure. You find yourself getting into something because of an indirect peer pressure. Even tattoos. Nobody sometimes they may tell you to wear. I'm not saying it is wrong or right, but I'm saying based on your values, maybe you never wanted to have a tattoo in your life. But indirect peer pressure, they show you how it's looking nice, 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 and you get into it. The one is self-imposed peer pressure. I love this because this is where you say, I want to do it. You are joining high school, you're joining college, you've just entered into class, and you say, you know what, in this environment, I want to do it. Therefore, you don't give any other excuse in between. You say, I am doing this, and therefore you don't take any excuse. You pressure yourself, especially those of us who are in high school. At Form 4, you really, really pressured yourself to deliver that score, and you deliver. In campus, you choose not to be distracted. In life, also, self imposed peer pressure is when you say, I want to save this amount of money by the end of the year, and then you become so brutal to yourself in saving that money, regardless of how life outcomes are. Regardless of what you're being forced to almost get into, you say, I am not giving in. I am going for it to the end. That self imposed peer pressure, it can be so good, but also can be so bad. Some of us have gotten internal pressure that leads to stress and anxiety because you want to strive to a given standard and you can't attain it. Maybe naturally you are not the phase of life to do it, but you force yourself into it. So be careful when you're imposing your own peer pressure. Please make sure it's a positive one. The current one that's happening currently is cyber peer pressure. In the digital age, peer pressure has extended to the online world where you may feel compelled to conform to online behavior. That is not the actual behavior what you see online. You need to be careful and only subscribe to what is the real behavior down here. Don't believe anything that's online. People can act, people can do many things. So please don't get carried by cyber moves. Cyber include even dating online, seeing strangers in not good spaces, and you find when you meet the stranger for the first time, they mess you up. Some even are into ritualistic things like human sacrifice, and you are carried slowly, slowly, and that can mess up you. Or even somebody becomes your friend online and start working around with your messing up your mental health. How? By exerting some demand that you cannot meet, or putting you down, or pushing you to a high standard you cannot ever attain. So some of these online things can mess you up. Have a self-belief that tells you who you are and go for yourself. Don't go for others. Just be yourself in every sense. Relationship peer pressure. This is a romantic relationships where you find it's somehow direct, indirect, positive, negative, all those put together, because this is where a pressure manifests as pressure to have a boyfriend. Everybody's having them. You want to have them. That's almost a direct peer pressure. But now we are putting it aside because relationship is something that really, really, really pushes everybody. Even those of us who are married, you find in your marriage there's a pressure to make sure your family looks like this, or your spouse behaves like this. You go to a salon as a woman and you are told how men are taken care of, and you come with some pressure to try to change this man. Man, doesn't work like that. So even in high school or in university or in colleges or out there, you find men forcing you to have one friend, or having sex, or doing this and that, or even going for threesome or these orgies because of pressure and the need to fit into a community. So let's look in the Bible. Do we have some examples? Yes, of course. In the book of Daniel, we see Daniel as a good example. He went to Babylon. They were chosen among the elite Hebrews who had been taken captive. And when they were given for 3 years training, he said, don't give us that defiled food from the king's table. We want only vegetables. And he really insisted, and he refused the pressure of having goodies so early. The second time we are seeing him is when the whole of Babylon is asked to bow to the king Nebuchadnezzar. Daniel refused to have that pressure. And he said, I want to worship my God. He's run to the lions then, but that does not put him to put his hands down or his foot down. He said, let me perish, but God saved him. The same case, Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego, they did the same thing, and they were rescued right there. The other example is Ruth. Ruth has a loyalty and commitment to what is good. She told Naomi, beg me no more. Where you're going, I'm going. Wherever you stay, I'll stay. You're precious my people. Where you die, I'll die. Where you be buried, I'll be buried. Because she was determined not to be pressured out of what she knows it's right. So that's very critical for us as people, as young people rising. Please don't be pressured to doing things. So, how do you treat peer pressure? That's $1 million question. The first thing I tell people is learn to ask why. Why is a very strong word. Why should I follow you? Why should I feel guilty? Why? And ask the five whys. And the five whys works like this. If someone comes and tells you, Guy, you need to have a girlfriend and Carol is the best girl. You ask her, why do I need to have a girlfriend? If he answers and tells you, oh, it is good, you say, why do you think it's good for me? Why do you think Carol is the best fit for me? Ask wise, and by the time you ask the fifth why, you shall have defeated any pressure from that request. If it's not valid, it will vanish. But if it's valid, it will stand and say, there is a need for me to commit into this path or something. So that way you manage peer pressure. The other thing is, you must ask yourself, when I'm doing this, am I violating any of my values? Do I have a value system I subscribe to, which I don't want to mess up by doing this? So you ask yourself and answer. That's very, very important. Then, once I make the decision, how will my life change? And that will give you a wake up call not to bow to pressure. Once I get into bed with this gentleman, once I accept to follow this girl, once I take that sip when I'm doing that, what will happen next? A young lady in my class one day said, do not let that which can swallow you leak you. If it licks you, it's gonna swallow you because if you give it a chance to just have closeness with you, it's gonna mess you up. So be careful. It's okay to say no. That's another way of managing your peer pressure. It's okay to say no. Critically, don't fear saying no. Get away pressure from pressure zones. It's possible for you to exit from a pressure zone. When you find one, learn to detect this is a pressure zone. This is not how it should be happening. So let me leave this space because I don't want to be caught up in all this matter. And second to last is speak out. Never ever fear to speak your mind out. When people are pushing in a corner, like for the direct peer pressure, speak out and say, I don't want. My faith does not allow me to do that. My life values do not allow me to do that. You guys continue. I'm not in. Secondly, also, look for positive role models so they may give you a positive peer pressure. Look for positive role modelers. You look at role model and say, let me imitate that guy. Let me imitate that woman because she has what I'm looking for. And that can end up with a very good self-imposed peer pressure that can help you. Finally, don't be everyone. If everyone's doing it, don't be everyone. Take care and keep becoming the true self as you rise up in the ladder of life. God bless.